Today we're going to talk about 4 different entities. All of them have relationship to George Soros, Muslim Brotherhood, the Alphabet Soup organizations, and what have you. These are things that have not been dealt with at length before, so fasten your seatbelts and get ready for an amazing ride. Here we go. The first one, Women for Afghan Women, WAW. Jewish Voice for Peace, JVP. Hindus for Human Rights, HHR, sometimes they also call it HfHR. And the tag called BDS, Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions. So we're going to look at how Mr. Soros keeps the pot boiling in Israel and in India. All these entities are, as far as I know, based in United States, but they have a few links to India and Israel. So what is it that I'm talking about? Here we go. One Jew and one Hindu. These are the minions of Soros, and they are trying to drive a wedge in Israel as well as in India. One is, of course, the Jew guy is in Israel and the Indian is in India. Interestingly, they both live in America and they are a married couple. Both are funded by Soros, both are promoted by Islamists, and both use human rights as cover. I'm grateful to Disinfo Lab for providing this data, and I've built my entire narrative based on facts from that. And this has been there for a long time. It's just that when you start looking at it, the maze, the length and breadth to which these people have spread their lies is just breathtaking. That's all I can tell you. So we're going to take a look at 2 organizations, Hindus for Human Rights and JVP, Jewish Voice for Peace. The story begins in 2002. Sunita Mehta, she co-founded Women for Afghan Women. Look at the nice logo. And it was funded by Soros. She was the associate director of Soros Reproductive Health Fellowship at Columbia University at 2006. She was associated with South Asian Women's Center for Anti-Violence Education and Sister Fund. This is Sunita Vishwanath. She has a BA in Mathematics from Douglas College, Rutgers University, MA in Sociology from SNDT Women's University, and basically, you can see all the different organizations she has been part of. Right now, she's a co-founder at Hindus for Human Rights. Nothing Hindu about this organization, as you will see who comprises their board. There was another organization called Sakhi that was founded in 1989 by Mallika Parvati Dutt, a career activist. This is not carrier, it is career, CARER, associated with many philanthropic organizations such as the Ford Foundation, the Norman Foundation, the Open Society Foundation, and the Sister Fund with Sunita as the director. So you can see that there is this link also. Back to WAW, Women for Afghan Women. In WAW, an individual whose name is Stefan Shaw, he joins as an advisor. We don't know much about him, except that he's a social entrepreneur who indulges philosophers like, okay, you go on, I'm listening, and an activist. In a day and age where activists eat, love, and pray, this is correct, pray, on social media, Shaw has no social media presence at all, really lying under the radar. Now, they both married in 2005. Remember, I told you Sunita was a Sunita Mehta before. She divorced her husband and she married Stefan, and he joined this organization called Jewish Voice for Peace. I put that logo also. Please carefully observe. There are 3 logos that will keep round and round, coming round and round. WAW, Jewish Voice for Peace, as well as Hindus for Human Rights. A deceptively named front by George Soros. JVP has been on the forefront of boycott, divest, sanction movement. This is the BDS I was telling you about. Now, what did they do? Well, I'll tell you what they did in a little bit, but they raised $800,000 from Open Society Foundation. There are 4 tranches. We can see the numbers here. If you want a complete article, I'll give you the disinfolab.org article link. You can go and take a look at that to actually read this. You need to read these things, guys. There is no other way to understand how much the rot has crept into the American society and the Democratic Party. So, JVP is the prototype on which HfHR was modeled. This is an admission by Stefan. He himself says this thing, and there is a YouTube link to that. I mean, you can again, in the article of in Decentful Lab, you can look at the YouTube link to get the idea. Now, there's another new character, Sunita and Raju Rajgopal. He is a co-founder of HfHR, and they were long-term associates with Jamaat Front IIMC, Alphabet Soup, forming fronts like Alliance for Justice and Accountability, AJA, with IAMC and OFMI, Organization for Minorities of India, or something like that. Or it could be Muslims, I have no idea. They also joined a new front called the London Story, based out of Netherlands. And I'll give you a little bit more detail into this. Here comes a tricky question. If you are working on human rights, why did you use the name Hindu? Well, what's in a name, right? Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell just as good. But clearly, they wanted something that would indicate that it is for Hindus, while it really was against Hindus. Remember this. This is the most important takeaway here. And thus, HfHR was born in 2019, co-founded with Raju Rajagopal, Punya Upadhyaya, Deepak Gupta and Sunil Sakhalkar. Raju had worked in the corporate sector in the US and later joined UIDAI. You know what UIDAI is, right? The authority that actually produced the Aadhaar card. So sometimes people grumble about Aadhaar card also having some bugs. Anyway, that's a topic for a different day. And he became, in 2009, he became the head of civil society outreach. So here, I'm going to give you some more information about Mr. Raju Rajagopal. Raju is associated with Coalition Against Communalism, CAC, and Ekta, Partners of Coalition Against Genocide, co-founded by, guess what, IAMC mastermind, 𝘏𝘢𝘕𝘏 and Angana Chatterjee, another great individual. She was a close aide of convicted ISI mole Ghulam Nabi Fai. This character was convicted in the United States. I think he's still in jail. And you can also see here, if you observe closely, the links going from OFMI to Bhinder and Peter Friedrich. On the left side, you see Raju Rajagopal, Sunita Vishwanath. Oh my God, all of them all come back to the same messy soup. So I have expanded this here, and you can clearly see AJA, I told you about it, and see how Raju Rajagopal, Sunita Vishwanath, she's on the advisory board of the London Story. And who else is there? Rashid Ahmed. And who is he? He's the executive director of IIMC. They're not even trying to hide these things. It's all out there, open. Raju was a speaker at the 2003 IIMC event, listed as the president of CSC, though it was cleaned up later. This is the other sleight of hand they try to do. They think that by wiping it out today, that people won't remember what used to be there before. So dream on, guys. If ever all these things go to a lawsuit, you guys are fried. You guys are fried, I'm telling you. Destruction of evidence is a serious crime. Now, Raju is also associated with a California-based foundation called Palayam, and his son is the executive director. And as of 2020, HfHR has received $17,436 from Palayam Foundation. So you can see the details in the returns below. 990 PF is the name of the form. You can take a look at that, and you can see that 17,000 odd dollars were given to HfHR by this group. And this advisory board, this is what I was telling you in the beginning. HfHR advisory board. You want to take a look at the names? Here we go. I expanded them. Reverend Abhi Janan Manchi, Dr. Khalid Anis Ansari, Father Anand Matthew, Dr. Linda Hess, Dr. Saida Hamid, and Martin McEwen. You know, they're so scared of Hindus, they don't even have a single Hindu in the board. Just tells you how Hindu this HfHR is. In 2016 December, the Navsurgence Trust FCRA was revoked for prejudice to harmony between social, religious, caste, and for acts detrimental to national interest, essentially anti-national activities. This is the group Navsurgence Trust. Remember, I told you it is linked with one of the great individuals in the previous slide. Now, what have they been doing? They have been, HfHR and JVP have been working together against India as early as from September 2019, when Alliance for Justice and Accountability, OFMI, IIMC and HfHR, participated in a Houston protest with Pakistani and Jamaat fronts, Stand with Kashmir, ICNA and OSF funded JVP. You see, this is September 2019. Clearly August 5th, 2019 rattled the hell out of these people. Now they said, oh, we have to band up together and start protesting. Now let's go back to the BDS movement. What is BDS? Boycott, divestment and sanctions. This is a sinister toolkit to sustain a conflict industry. And I can show you in the next slide which were the companies that were forced to act based on the pressure put by JVP in Israel. So this is the big connection matrix that you can see. The BDS, has many arms, and I'll again start connecting these things in just a minute. But you can see on the left is Stefan, and the right is Sunita Vishwanath, husband-wife couple, and looks like day in and day out, they all dream about how do I prick Israel, how do I prick India. That's all seems to be their life mission. Anyway, good luck to them. With this BDSM movement, JVP has actually had some hits in Israel, and I'm going to show you some of those achievements. But HfHR hasn't really had that much in India yet. Maybe that's going to start now. But you can also see some of the sister organizations that have been created under these two big names. Okay, so what are the BDS victories? BDS victories are they forced General Mills to divest from apartheid Israel. They basically forced General Mills to say that Israel is apartheid and therefore they should not deal with them. Same with Ben & Jerry. And they also tried to force some other brands like shoe and other things from working in Israel. Now, the interesting thing is they have found a template that seems to have worked in Israel. They've created a similar template for India also. Most of these organizations, like I said before, are based in America. So here is a look at it. You have on the left hand side the Israel of organizations, on the right hand side the equivalents in India related activity. So I have it expanded here. So you have JVP, Hindus for Human Rights, and then American Muslims for Palestine, Indian American Muslim Council, FOSNA, Stand with Kashmir. And this FOSNA, Stand with Kashmir, I'll show you some very interesting things. I mean, I'm going to go into more details on these things. You have an equivalent organization on both sides, and these are all being funded in part or probably even in whole by George Soros Foundation. We don't have all the data yet, but the links have been clearly established. I mean, these people are pretty cocky and arrogant. They have not tried to hide anything. You just keep digging, you'll start finding all these alliances and linkages. It doesn't seem to bother them that it's a Democratic Party funded organization called Equality Labs that tries to charter this SB 403 through a Afghan American woman who has no clue what she's talking about, and then she presents this to a CA Senate Judiciary Committee who have no clue of what she's talking about, yet they all see in their infinite wisdom, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, to vote this thing through. Amazing what money can do. You have a Russell Tribunal on Kashmir and you have a Russell Tribunal on Palestine also. Like I said, complete disregard for any kind of hush-hush activities. Let's try to hide it behind a shell corporation or something like that. Nah, we will just name it because they are so darn sure that nobody is going to be able to touch them. Like I said, there is a Russell Tribunal on Palestine and there is the Russell Tribunal on Kashmir. Russell is a really busy man and he seems to have a lot of resources. Now look at the two. There is the Friends of Sabeel North America. This is a Christian voice for Palestine. And on the right hand side, you have Stand with Kashmir. Look at the logo. The logos itself are copied from the Kashmir logo, which happened, I guess, after August 5th, 2019, is, more or less inspired and in a major way from the logo on the left. How does India tackle BDS? First of all, it needs to get BDS sanctioned in the United States. Once it does that, once it is successful in that, then what infliction BDS can put on India is going to be almost minimal. And I think this is not going to be so easy for them to do it in India, given the length and breadth of the country. And also remember that India is not as probably what I would call as divided as Israel. In Israel, you have the left and right more or less half and half. In India, the right has really picked up momentum. I'm hearing that many rabid left journalists are now suddenly at the center and singing praises of Modi. Anyway, that's just an interesting aside that I thought I should let you know. So IIMC had paid lobbyist USCIRF. I have given you this video information a few months ago about how they wanted to target India, and USCIRF did take that money, but nothing has happened. So you can see here many of the various initiatives that USCIRF has used. They have used all these Hindus in name only. I don't know. I can't remember his name even, because so insignificant. That person was supposed to have been appointed by Nancy Pelosi, and he never bothers to pick up her phone, never bothers to answer her email. Even USCIRF, if you call them, you can clearly hear them pick up the phone and put it on the side. Arrogant, isn't it? And this is taxpayer money. Like I said, India is much more diverse. It is possible for them to create more of a nuisance, but you can see that if you look at the HfHR activity, they are active on all fault lines in India, including caste, Kashmir, Islamophobia, and they use even USCIRF to target India. I think I told you, right? The last report that USCIRF wrote on India was written by a Pakistani American journalist. And well, what is going to happen here? Only time will tell, but clearly the fight is on, guys. And some of it is intended at India, but we in the United States are also being pushed around like pawns, and we need to first stand up and fight for ourselves. You cannot let somebody else tell you how you should be living your life. That's exactly what is happening. Who the heck are these people to tell us what our caste system is? Do you know that a Catholic would not want to get buried in a Protestant cemetery, and vice versa? They wouldn't even they wouldn't even go to each other's churches. And these people are telling us about caste? What nonsense. Anyway, so this is where things lie, guys. So clearly somebody is very jealous about how India has been rising despite all these roadblocks being created by them, and that is really tickling somebody's not so funny bone, and this is what is the result of it. India needs to hang in there. Indian Americans need to hang in here. Hindu Americans especially, you need to fight hard. Fight them in the streets, fight them in the courts, fight them with facts and data. We can't afford to take the non-dharmic route that the others do. We don't want to lie. We want to use truth, and that shall set us free. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaste.